Get my TikTok set up. So my camera looks better on TikTok than it does on Instagram for some reason. I don't know what the hell that is, but we're going live on TikTok in like a few seconds. So to break this down for y'all, I'm going to do a demonstration on close quarter combats, the do's and don'ts, and clearly you guys can see that there's absolutely no room in here. Hello TikTok, I think I'm finally live. So I owe you guys on TikTok this. If you didn't go to my Kung Fu Havoc #2 YouTube channel, everything is there. So we're going to begin. I'm also going to go and redo this on Instagram, even though it did work. Shockingly enough, it actually got all that I did, everything. I didn't know that it did. I thought it was a big clusterfuck, but clearly it worked out. So this is close quarters, all right? As you can see, I have absolutely no maneuvering room. If the light is dim, it's because it actually shows up better with the light being dim versus the light being exceptionally bright. I am in a crawl space, yay so big, yay so wide. Why are we here? We are here to learn how to fight in close quarters combat and learning what you can and cannot do because maneuverability is a thing. This goes to prove that adaptation is a thing. Now, granted, you're going to have to stretch the imagination because I don't have someone brave enough to actually be a partner or a sparring partner or a crash dummy or a test dummy, aka a punching bag for martial arts that's brave enough to come and fight me in these places so I can do actual full resistance training and things. So, however, this is the room you have. See how my arm gets here? Being small finally has a place for me. See there and there. So I don't have a lot of room and a lot of space, and I have to utilize the space that I have. So as a martial artist, if any other martial artist isn't telling you that you need to be able to adapt to your environment, here you go. This is one of them places where you're going to need to adapt to your environment. There is no exit behind me. This pipe clearly leads to the sewer, because it comes from the shower and the toilet. They connect to this big white pipe and it goes out. Behind me, if you go to the other videos that I've posted already, you will see all that fucking junk back there. Now, granted, if I'm in a fight, I would hope that none of this shit is in here, which is why we're on this side versus that side. Now, on that side, I got a whole bunch of death traps and things that can hurt me without even trying, just because I could slip. The ground has no grip, so I have to be careful, which is why you will not be doing anything that remotely resembles that. Because there's no room for you to build power, alright? Building power in a fight is also a thing. With Wing Chun, you build the power in gradual steps. The more you practice it, the stronger you get. Where in karate, it's always block, counter, and your counter brings in the power. So if you block and your torque is there, you're going to have that. Except for this is going to be a difficult place for karate principles. You can still use them, but it's going to be difficult because you have block and counter, but you don't have a lot of movement to get that torque. Where with Wing Chun, you don't so much need the torque as you need targeting. Same thing with Kung Fu or Kung Fu or whatever that is. I can try to invite you in. No, I can't because the damn thing disappeared. I have a problem inviting people in anyway, so I apologize for that. But, you know, no gifts and none of that other stuff because I don't do any of that for that. I do this for the love of martial arts and praying that I teach you guys something. But anyway, a lot of kicks aren't usable here, all right? The outside to inside crescent kick, I have nowhere to bring my leg in to build power. Inside to outside, it's doable, but not doable because, again, I don't have the momentum to bring power to this kick. You know, it's got to stop short or I'm going to break my ankle if the person that I swing that kick at ducks and slams my leg into the wall. So, boom, my leg is damaged now. And he has all of this to eat up because I didn't have my guard up. As you saw when I did that kick, my guard was definitely not up. So, it should have probably been done like that. But again, there's no room. If he ducks and slams my leg into the wall, after he hits my leg in the wall, even though my guard's up, he can still strike. Because I'm protecting here, but all this is open. So, you know, you're going to understand that shit. If you're in a tiny-ass area, you're going to need to be able to adapt. You're not going to spring off this wall. There's nowhere for you to spring to. Alright? I'm short, so going up there, I'm not going to Spider-Man this place. It's not going to fucking happen. I have to be able to get out of this corner. My doorway is where the computer is. For those who can't see that, that's my way out. Alright? There's a whole lot of fuckery going on right here in a fight. There's just like, you need to be good. And you need to adapt. So kicks that you can do. Basic front kick. Taekwondo double knee strike side. And turn into kung fu kick. So, boom, boom, boom. You have that. You have a step back far enough so that you can position yourself for a side kick or a turning round kick. Again, with the turning round, it's a questionable kick because of your area. You know how your body works, so you're going to be able to decide, can I pull this kick off without getting my shit jacked? And that's going to be an issue that you're going to have to formulate, because you can do this, boom, boom. But see, you really don't want to take too many chances on anything with your feet leaving the ground. Taekwondo, Kempo, doesn't matter. You don't want to do anything that's going to really take your feet off the ground. You kind of want to keep that shit basic because, boom, boom. You see, there's a lot of scraping that can happen here because I can scrape this. If my target's just a little far over here and I got to come in, there's a good chance that my forearm and elbow is going to get damaged scraping this wall. So you can do it, but you got to adapt that shit. You're going to have to adjust. If someone's throwing a strike and you can block this way, then you can block that way, or you can do this block. You have to know your blocks. You have to adapt to where you are. Now, in the other video I did use weapons. I will bring them in a second. But, for now, stick with the basics. Front kick, boom. Front kick to side kick, boom, boom. See, I don't have to do a lot of adjusting. All right? But if I have to adjust and I go kick, 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 and then get back and then kick again, see, I have to take control of the environment. I have to know where I am. I have to know where I'm stepping. I have to be able to step properly. I have to be as safe as possible. Adapting is everything in a fight. Adapting is everything in martial arts. And if you don't know how to adapt, well, you can either learn the right way, the wrong way, or you can go to the School of Hard Knocks and learn the hard way. Sometimes the School of Hard Knocks is necessary. I know. A lot of martial artists don't believe in that shit, but I'm also 48 years old. Sometimes you need the School of Hard Knocks, all right? You might not like that shit, but sometimes you need the School of Hard Knocks. You can throw a knee in here, a well-placed knee. See, that's from the front position. From here, there's a good chance that you can fuck your shit up trying to hurt someone else by dragging that bitch against this wall. Yeah, I'm in pants. There's a little protection, but let's live in reality here. These are not that thick of pants. They're cargo pants. Even in a gi, you're still going to get fucked up if you scrape your knee the wrong way trying to knee somebody. Same thing with what I said earlier with the forearm or the elbow. You are in an enclosed area. Your strikes need to come straight from the front. Boom. Get back. Boom. Boom. Get back. Boom. Boom. You need to get back. Because if you can't get back and take position, they may take your ass out. Block, strike, block, block, block. If they're throwing knees, you're going to have to adapt. Boom, elbow that knee, elbow that knee, elbow that knee. Double block here, double block here. You're going to have to adapt. If you can't adapt, you're taking a nap. Sorry, I like that rhyme. But it's also a stated fact. He who hesitates and meditates from the horizontal position. Vanishing Sun. Go Google it. But the thing is, there's a lot of things you cannot do in this spot. So if you want to keep, say you southpawed or a Wing Chun, you want to keep your jab, you want to keep that thing straight. You do not have time for crosses and haymakers in this tiny spot. Boom, boom. That you can do. Boom, boom. Because that's a straight attack. That's a straight attack. But some shit like this coming around, that haymaker might cost you the fight. Plus, you don't want to have it too long out. You don't want to extend it so far out where they can grab it and pull you towards them. Because they throw a punch, boom. When I show the weapons, I will demonstrate a lot of shit that can go wrong, which will give me a couple of minutes to finish this. And then we'll go into the weapons. Because a lot of weapons, unless you're using a butterfly knife, you really have no space for weapons in this spot. To be honest, you don't. because it's the weapon times the size of your hand times the size of your arm, depending on the weapon. A bow staff is no good here. Chobos, kamas, tonfas, no good here. There's not a lot of maneuverability for you to use those weapons. Anyway, back to basics. So guys coming, boom, front kick, readjust. You know, guys coming to the knees, readjust. Come back, you know, guys coming in, boom, boom. You know, you have to have your shit straight. Your game's gonna be on because you have nowhere to go. You know, you're fighting to get out. It's real simple. You're fighting to get out. You are not fighting to stay. Now, there's no flying dragons in here. Alright? You're not gonna leap through the air and try to do a flying dragon or a flying sidekick. No, you're not doing that shit. There's nowhere to go. And if you're tall and you leap up, for those on TikTok, if you leap up, you've got nowhere to go. That's the ceiling. This is me. See the ceiling behind me? For you guys on YouTube, that's the ceiling. You've got nowhere to go. Now, let me see if I can get far enough back so that you can see. I can't do this without jumping, but that's because I'm also 5'3", and I think I got attacked by a spider. Anyway, I'm 5'3.5", and I still can't touch this damn thing without tiptoes or jumping. So, flying dragons, out of the question. No. Tornado kicks, out of the question. Flying knees, it depends on the knee. If you're going straight, you have a fighting chance. But if you're going to take a knee where it involves you to go all the way this way, you have a wall that's going to be in your way. And if you're a tall person, this is where shit gets tricky. Alright? This is not the place you want to be if you're over 6 feet. Hell, this ain't the place you really want to be if you're over 5'8". But I'm 5'3.5", so it's not as short as you think, but it's shorter than it looks. Now, here in this little crawl space, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in a fight in here. The first thing to go wrong is you not being prepared to fight in here. The second thing to go wrong is your ass just can't fight, which probably should have been the first thing. But this is not the place that you want to get into a fight. But if you have to get into a fight, you know that you can do it because I'm small and I just taught you how to maneuver and what to do. Here's a do. Front kick. Here's a do. The Taekwondo of y'all, you know, doom, doom, doom. You know, that 3-piece that y'all always do. Okay, let me rephrase that. Master Ennis taught me a 3-piece. Knee, knee, chest or belly. Because kick, kick, bladder, I'm coming over. So if you go boom, 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 that would be Kung Fu versus the Taekwondo one, which would be doop, 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 doop. And you know, it's more. I don't have the hip for that shit anymore. So I can't play around with that shit. Now, the thing about that is you're going to have to know what kicks to use when you're in this situation. I say, if you have to do anything, just keep those 3 basics. Front, side, 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 front, you know, combos. You know, step back, kick, reposition, kick, kick. You know, do the shit that's going to work that has the less amount of you hitting your legs on the walls. Those will be the things that's going to get you through. Now we're going to get to the weapons. So, I'm going to show you some weaponry. Be forewarned, weapons are even worse, in close quarters combat than just being the weapon yourself. The one true weapon, before I go pick up any weapon, is what you just saw. Your human body in this little area is the only weapon outside of a butterfly knife or one of those things that spin on your fingers that's going to save your ass. Weapon's no good if you can't use it. In here, you're limited. So we're going to bring in the nunchucks first. Then we're going to bring in the ring. And then we're going to bring in the kama. And then we might use the kama as a fucking tonfa. And if I decide, we'll probably bring in the chobos. But we'll see. So, this is your nunchuck space. When one side's on the wall, the other side is not. So you have like 1 centimeter to 1 inch. And the same on the other side when you have a full chain. So your strikes in here with these nunchucks are going to be very costly if you're not careful. So under your arm, boom, and return. Because you don't have a lot of room for side-to-side strikes. Boom. They have to be precise. You know, block, strike, block, strike, block, block, strike. You know, so that's for like somebody throwing a jab and a jab, not haymakers, but for like jabs, boom, boom. You want to block those damn things. And if they want to throw doom, 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 your blocks will pretty much be boom, boom, boom. You know, and when you're thumping that down, you want to strike the femur or you want to fucking strike the kneecap. Alright? It is brutal ordinance, but it's better safe than sorry. You're not going to be fast enough to do this to someone and lock their hands with these things. Don't believe the hype. Fuck that shit. Do not do that. You're going to block. You're going to hit the wrist. You're going to hit the other wrist, and you can strike on the forehead, or if they're throwing a kick, you can strike on the leg. So if they're doing doom, doom, and doom, your best shit would be boom, 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 because you struck them in the fucking head. Or if you don't want to get kicked, boom, boom, boom. Remember, right, left, kick, that's what they're throwing. So you're blocking, and you're blocking. That gives them something to think about. But if you want to end that shit quickly, block, block, strike, where it's a head strike, you will probably get kicked. Because I did say that they were going right, left, and a kick. So if you block the right, block the left, and then you hit the head, they're still kicking. You better be able to adjust, which means you want to move your body away from the kick. You don't want to turn to the kick, but in this case, you're still kind of turning toward the kick. You know? So boom, boom, boom would have probably been a little bit more correct than boom, boom, boom. Now, this would have probably ended it, but this would have kept the fight in your control because you're blocking the wrist, and then you're jamming the leg with that because they are throwing right, left, and a front kick. So you're blocking right, blocking left, you're blocking the front kick. Now, if you're real quick, boom, 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 boom. You know, you hit them with a 4-piece, block, 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 boom. You know, 3 blocks and a strike. Now, like this, there, you got that, but when you try to go out, it's a good chance that, 1, these bitches do come back when they hit solid. So you're going to have to be wary of that. 2, there's no room for full power swings other than there and there. But then you got to worry about getting that bitch back without getting hit. So you have to understand how these things work. And getting in tight quarters with these, they're best suited for blocking. Not so much attacking, but for blocking. He throws a punch, boom. Now that's a strike. He throws a punch in the kick, boom, boom. So block, strike, because you're striking his kick, which is still a block if you're considering you're using Kimpo. So you're blocking, which is also striking, and you're blocking, which is also striking, because that's what Kimpo is. Every block is a strike, every strike is a block. So you block, strike, you know, and that's for him throwing a right punch and a right kick. So you block and you stop. Now, if you don't have nunchucks, you're probably going to be in a little bit better shape, all right? Because you don't have to worry about these bitches banging off him and coming back to you. Because sometimes they do come back to sender if you don't know what the hell you're doing with these things. These are not toys. Granted, these are practice chucks. Still dangerous in the right hands. Any tool that you use as practice, you treat as if it was a real weapon. And you train as if it was a real weapon. That way you know that even with the real McCoy, you're doing it right. But even with the damn training weapon, it's still a weapon that can be used in your defense. Boom, boom. So you block. And you see how my body works with that block. So I'm blocking whatever's coming down my central line with my hand as well as my nunchucks. Now, if you want to get fancy, boom, and swing it out, there's a good chance that that's going to work. It's a good chance it's not going to work. It's a 50-50 thing. But at that same time, I got a better idea of blocking and hitting you with these chains on your leg and then worrying about my next move versus trying to be slick, boom, and then try to whip the bitch out because what I did was boom and whip it out. Now, what happens if he gets a hold of that? Because I didn't block him correctly. Now we're in a tug of war over nunchucks. No. You blocking the central line, and you're blocking from here to here, even though they're right here, you're still blocking that central line. So you're blocking that shit, and he's throwing a kick or a punch, boom, you've blocked it. So you've blocked the hand that's coming at your face, and you've blocked the kick. So that's basically like a karate move, because you've crossed your center line. Where a lot of Wing Chun, you still cross your center line, but you stand in a southpaw stance. Now, boom, boom. I can return it faster in Wing Chun than I can with karate. Because karate would have been I block, and then I turn with the other leg to bring the power. The problem here is, if you look at the space, there's barely enough space to bring any power from anywhere. So you're going to have to learn how to use torques to make sure that you have the power. See how my wrist turns? When I strike, that's going to be that torque. But everything is going to travel from here through here to my target. Now, if I'm fighting someone who knows what they're doing, they're probably going to block this shit. And when they block this shit, we're going to have a problem. But these are for close-quartered combat, but not this close-quartered environment. Understand the difference? This is a close-quartered environment. There will be close-quarters combat. But my range of using this weapon has been limited, which means I have to adapt. And if I cannot adapt, I have a problem. All right? And there, like I said, you can do it this way too. Block, block. I mean, there's a lot of variants you can use. Boom, 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 boom. But again, wall to wall, I don't have a lot of space. So if I block a foot and block a hand, I'm in pretty decent shape. Whatever happens next is going to happen next. So if he's throwing a punch and a kick, both from the right, boom. So I can come down and I can come across. Or I can just get the hell out the way and just block one. I can block the leg, which is going to hurt more, and get out of the way with the foot. But again, as corny as that looks, you got a better chance of doing that than trying to swing these bitches in a little bit of an area. You see how small I got to get to work this bitch, to get any kind of force behind it? I got to get small. That ain't always going to work, especially if you're not fucking 5'3" or below. So, understand how your weapon works. Understand where you are. There is no space between me and my arms. There's not enough space to save my ass from anything other than understroke or an upper stroke. And then I got to be able to recoil that bitch so it doesn't hit me in the face. Because I don't want to get knocked out by my own weapon. You don't want to get knocked out by your own weapon. Okay. So I do the ring thing first. Have two, but we're only going to use it as one. So if I'm here, I can block, block, block. So that would be bunching a punch and a kick. So block, block, and I can nail the leg. I want to hit him inside the femur, or I want to hit him in just above the knee, or just below the knee. And that would be for a basic front kick. So block, block, boom. I don't have to work that hard. Now, I want to get out. So maybe if I hit the knee, if he's going down here, I can loop him and then pull him into my knee. All right? Because that's also a possibility. Always remember that your target here will generally make a person bend over, and then you want to put the thing over, and then you want to pull them. Now, the reason why I teach it that way is because it doesn't really the law of physics, because you're hitting in the central line. You're going for the sternum, or you're going for the bladder, because you can go both. If you have two rings, boom, you can double thrust. But again, you have no space in here to do a lot of fancy shit. So one ring she'll do. Block, strike, boom. Reposition. He comes in, block, grab, pull to the knee. You want to end this fight quickly because you're in a no-win spot. All right? Somebody's got to go down, and you don't want it to be you. All right? So you jab, and your target is in this area. When they bend, you wrap, and you pull them. Because they're already going to bend. When they get hit right here, they're going to feel that shit. Especially if you're jabbing. If you're jabbing like this, it's not the best idea. You want to jab more round. See how this is? Round. You want to jab this way. For those who can't see, you want it this way, not this way. So you jab this way, it's easy to flip over and then pull them in. You don't want them here and here, though, because then you have no power. You have no space between y'all, and it's going to be really tight fighting. Really, really tight fighting, which is going to be a big fucking problem for both of you, unless you're the one who hits that first hit in. And that's another thing about fighting. If you get that first hit in and that person is done, then it's done. If you get that first hit in and you don't even rock this guy's chin, you have a fucking problem. And you're going to have to deal with that shit. So you're either going to have to deal with it the easy way, or you're going to have to deal with it the hard way. And this is where being tough helps. Alright? We're going to go get the karma now. Okay, so this training karma, solid wood, but I got no maneuvering room. See, I ain't got enough room to do anything. That would have got my arm cut off. That time it was done right, but you're never going to do that. So you're going to block, you're going to block, you're going to block, you're going to block, you're going to strike. Remember, this is supposed to be a blade, so it's going to stick into someone. It's not going to be a sword where it cuts right out. These things hooked, so when you strike in, it's in there, and you're going to have to get it off. Or you're just going to leave it in there and let them bleed out. But, you know, once you gash and come back, you're still going to have to gash because most people, they don't know they're cut until they see it. All right? Think about a paper cut for those who want a reference. When was the last time you got a paper cut? When did you notice it? Because most paper cuts come across your hands. I don't know too many people who get paper cuts on their necks or anywhere else on their body, but when you wash your hands, that's when you find that paper cut. That paper cut is deep and it hurts like shit. Well, this is a blade. When it cuts, it's going to be deep and it's going to hurt like shit. Most people would have probably stopped after the first cut, you know, but we live in reality, so if I stab you, I'm going to have to get you off of my blade, especially if I want to use it again. You're not going to do this. That's going to happen. You're not going to do that and then that, you know, did here, and then that little whippity thing. No, you ain't never going to do that shit. Block, strike. That's it. Block, strike. Now, remember, it's a blade, so you're not going to be able to purposely rip it back. Now, this is being wood, and it's not shaped like an actual comma because they actually curve more. So, it also depends on the comma. So, if you get in there and you're stabbing them up in here, you know, it's in there. That's a collarbone. There's deep meat right there. So you're going to break it into the white meat and just be stuck. So you're going to have to do that. And when you kick them off, this part's sharp too. So it's probably going to gash right out of their ass. There's going to be a big bloody mess. Now, commas are some dangerous ass weapons. They are not toys, and they are not for the faint of heart. If you like blood and gashing, the comma is for you. Boom, bam, you're going to come back. You're not going to do this. You know, you're not going to do that. And as fine as that worked, it'll never happen in real life. You're not going to and then be able to do this. Or my way, from here, and then rip it. Yo, you're never going to get that done. Same thing with tonfas in this area. Now, this works against me because I'm an outswinger. So you see how it goes against that? If I'm in this area, block, block, and then out. Or block, block, and then in. Because I have to keep it close enough to me where I can use it without hurting myself. That's going to be a problem in this enclosed area. Look at this. You see how that is right there? Yeah, that's it. That's my range of motion. So if I'm here, I'm good. I can block and I'm here, but I still got to protect myself from my own weapon. Because if I go out, I got to get out far enough. If I go in, I got to get out far enough. And sometimes that's going to be a problem with the tonfa. So you're going to hang the tonfa at the bottom. Boom, boom, and just thrust, you know, and slide in. And then there's a lot more you can do with an actual tonfa. This is a comma, so it's not going to be as effective as the actual tonfa doing demonstrations. But you can do almost anything with a tonfa that you can do with a comma except for cut people. Now, since this is a comma and not an actual tonfa, you have to simulate the swing for the tonfa. Now, but a tonfa is very dangerous. Don't let it trick you. All right? It may not look dangerous, but it is. And a comma is even just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than any damn thing else. So you have to understand, you're in this tight quarters, you're not going to be doing a whole lot with this thing other than gashing the shit out of people. You're not going to be boom, boom, and then whirling it around and trying to do that. No, that shit's not going to happen. In the movies, it can happen. But this is a small-ass area. See here? This is a very, very small area. You are in deep shit in here. So now I get a chobo, which I didn't do for YouTube. I mean Instagram, or YouTube actually. It's a chobo, or a short stick. You're not going to do this in here. That, you're not doing that. This thing is not to leave your hand. They're throwing a right and a left, block, block, boom. And if they're just throwing a right, left, and a kick, block, block, strike the kick. Or strike the head, boom, boom, shoot. But you know that there's a kick, so that's basically this, and you're block, block, and strike, or block, block, and strike. Understand? None of this. And that's something that you have to understand. When you are in the tight quarters, this shit shouldn't even be an afterthought. Because you need to hold on to this stick. Boom, 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 boom. You need to be able to protect. Boom, boom. You know, if you are not able to protect, this is not protecting. This is showing off. Now, there will never be a time in your life when you are fighting someone with short sticks, and especially if you do Kali, because I don't do Kali, I don't know Kali. I do know how to fight with short sticks from Kempo, but see how that just happened? That's exactly why you're never going to do that in close quarters combat. You're going to keep this bitch in your hand. You're not going to do this. You're going to do this. Boom, 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 boom. Know how to block. Wham, 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 wham. Those things are going to save your ass versus this shit that looks cool. Looking cool doesn't save you. So, to recap, there's no space. This thing does not leave your hand. No weapon should leave your hand. It should not do this or that or any of this kind of maneuvering, because if somebody doesn't have a weapon, you just gave them yours the second you did that. Okay, let's get a little less practical. Let's say you don't have a weapon at all. Or do you? Because you still have to fight somebody. Let's say you need an improvised weapon. The old ball and chain tends to work best. So you have a t-shirt. I always tell people to tie at the bottom. Some people will tell you tie at the top of the sleeves. You can do both if the shirt's long enough. It's just easier to get the knot out the bottom for me. So, now, again, you don't have any maneuvering room. So that strike, boom, 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 boom. You're going to have to keep doing that. You can't use your arms because there's nowhere for them to go. So this up strike and this down strike, this up strike and this down strike. And you see how close that came to my crotch? Yeah, that's going to be an issue. But you know, now that you know, there's going to always be an issue in tight quarters. There's going to be an issue in tight quarters because you have nowhere to maneuver to. You have nowhere to go. And you need to know what you have on you that is available. If you don't have a good weapon or if you're not a strong fighter, you need to know what advantages can you have. I'm never going to tell you to take off your shoes. Don't do that. But if your shoes have shoestrings, these don't, but you can tie a knot in each end of the shoestring, and then you have a tiny nunchuck that can still sting. It can't really be effective unless you use it as a fucking rope to choke the shit out of somebody. But other than that, you know, you have to figure out how to move. So we're going to close the live with this. Back to the basics. Right punch, right block, right punch. All right? Right punch, right block, right punch. Now, it looked like a block down, but it was still a punch. Now, same thing with your feet. You know where your limit is on your range. So, front kick, double side, readjust, and understand how that works. None of this, because you see I almost went down. You may not think that I almost went down, but yeah, I almost went down. Same thing for this side, you know, knees this way, not knees this way. Because this way you have a good chance of hitting your knee on the wall versus hitting your opponent, which gives your opponent the opportunity to put you down where that light is. Understand that, you know, if you're throwing a jab and an uppercut, not a cross, not a forearm, because there's a good chance that you are going to do damage to yourself going across this shit. You don't want that. You're in this small area, you want to keep that shit as simple as possible. You want two to the knees, boom, boom, boom. That stops that. You get back into position. He comes again. Boom. Now you have a side kick. You want to do a double side. You want to go low, high, because that's what I do. Low, high. Or you want to go high, low. I never go high, low just because for me it's impractical. It's not unuseful, just impractical. But here's high, low. Boom, boom. Okay? Now, if you go high and they see it, they can slide under it, but you probably won't be fast enough to go low to catch them. But if you go low, it'll make them slow down so you can catch them high. Makes more sense when you practice it. So low, here, and then high. Now, I'm a short person, so I have to pick my targets wisely. And I tell you that before I end this video, because if you don't pick your targets wisely, or if you don't pick your moves wisely, the bad news is you're probably going to sleep. The good news is that you've been warned. But you know, you have to know where you are. This is a small, small place where you don't want to engage at in the first fucking place. But if you are in this area, you need to know how to engage properly. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't. You see all the martial artists. You follow all of them. None of them really follow me. I don't really care. But I'm going to tell you the goddamn truth. You don't want to be here if you have to fight. You don't. Because I just showed you, you have limited shit that you can do. And all of it is basic, so you'll be okay. unless you're fighting someone who's a fucking ace and who is, like me, trained in unusual places just to see if I can actually pull something off. Yes, I have trained in some unusual places just to see if I can pull stuff off. Why did I do that? Because I wouldn't be able to make this video if I didn't. You have to understand it. Fights aren't selected. They happen wherever you are, whoever you pissed off. That's where that fight's going to happen. If that fight happens to be down here, it could have been a fight in the other room there, and somehow we managed to go in here because I walked in here and that person came after me and then I beat their ass. You know, fights are not always selective. Fights happen everywhere. Fights can happen in the sewer. Fights can happen on the streets. Fights can happen on the playground. Fights can happen on the jungle trail. Fights can happen in the park. Fights can happen at your job. You need to know wherever you are your limitations of what you can and can't do. Now, I'm not saying you physically have limitations, but in this environment right here, there's not a whole lot I can really do to do a lot of damage. I can't do my crescent kick because there's a wall right here. I can't do the other way because I have to come from this way. There's a wall right here. Now I can get in position and try it now, but I still have to get in position. If your opponent doesn't let you get in a position, you have a problem. All right? And 9 times out of 10, once a fight happens, your mind's pretty much going to be blank. You're not really going to know what the fuck to do until you actually are doing shit, which is how most fights work. Then you got adrenaline. Then you got pain. And 9 out of 10, you're going to feel the pain when the fight stops. You're probably not going to feel it before it stops unless they, like, knock your ass out or if you just can't take a hit. You know, there's a lot of factors in a fight, and I'm the only person who's going to tell you, I don't give a flying fuck about your size. If I know that I can beat somebody bigger in here, then I'm going to bring them in here. And I have a golden rule on fighting. And nobody else has said this in all the martial art videos. And I hadn't said it because I like to keep some things to myself. But I'm going to say it now. For you at Kung Fu Havoc number 2, and for you here on TikTok. Make your enemy fight your fight. Do not fight your enemy's fight. Fight smarter, not harder, so that you can survive the fight versus trying to beat somebody's ass just for the sake of, I beat your ass. No, you survive fights. You don't beat people's asses. That being said, I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. I'm ending the TikTok, and I'm ending the Kung Fu channel. This video, anyway. Thank you guys for watching. Okay, I'm attempting to end the video and the